It's that time again, time for the most intense, breakneck, ultimately kind of slow race to see who has what it takes to be the fastest snail in town. Who will you choose to win? This is Snail Sprint, which was designed by Wilfried and Marie Fort and published by HABA. Hey everyone, my name is Mike Murphy of the Brothers Murph. I'm here at Board Game Geek, and today's episode of In Focus is sponsored by the BoardGameGeekStore. Now, I know who I'm going to choose to win, so let's get this game down to the table to go a little more in focus on Snail Sprint. Snail Sprint is a snail racing game for kids where players will be rolling dice and moving snails, trying to get their favorites to cross the finish line first. The game board will be set up in the middle of the table, and the tin will be placed in the notch on the board. What side of the tin is facing which way doesn't matter as long as the inside of the tin is facing the game board. The podium will be placed inside the tin, and all snails will be placed at the start. Each player will be given a race card that they will keep secret. These cards will tell the player which snails they want to win the race. Now we're ready to start. Each snail has a color and a symbol. These symbols are also on the two dice, as well as the paths the snails will race on. On a player's turn, they will roll out the two dice and then move a snail. Which snail they move and where is determined by the roll of the dice. The player will choose one die to represent the snail and one to represent which space that snail will move to. For instance, if two circles were rolled, the player would move the pink snail to the nearest circle space. If a star and a flower got rolled, the player would either move the purple snail to the nearest star space or the yellow snail to the nearest flower space. That is, unless there's a snail with that same symbol in the way. If a snail matches the symbol on the die and is on the track before the symbol on the board, the player then has to place the moving snail on top of that snail in a snail pile. A snail not on top of a snail pile is blocked and cannot be moved. Players will continue taking their turns and snails will race around the board, including up and over the tin. Each snail has a magnet on the bottom and will climb up the tin and back down again. The only difference is snail piles cannot happen on the tin, and therefore snails can hop over each other to move to the indicated symbol instead of piling on top of one another. As snails get close to the finish, they will try to get to the podium first. If there is not a matching symbol between a snail and the podium, the snail will then be placed on the podium either first, second, or third, depending on when they got there. Once all three podium spots are filled, the game will end. Players then reveal their race cards and are awarded points. If any of the snails on the race card are on the podium, the player gains points. 3 points for first place, 2 for second, and 1 point for third. In this case, the player would gain 4 points as the purple snail came in first and the pink snail came in third. Players count up their points and the player with the most points will win. This is such a clever use of a game box, or in this case, a tin. Now this is ultimately a game for kids, so it's fairly light, but having the snails climb up and over the tin is something that can draw in kids and adults alike. And it's proof that having a really cool gimmick that makes thematic sense can be a really great thing. And if Snail Sprint seems like a game you'd enjoy, consider checking out its page at BoardGameGeek.com and watch a review. And if you're looking to upgrade your next game night, visit the Board Game Geek store today. And until next time, I'm Mike Murphy. I've been here at Board Game Geek, and we've been going in focus on Snail Sprint. Have a great day.